At the outset, I would say that the terms of reference of the 16th Finance Commission is extremely broad. There is no restrictions on them, on what weightage they should put. Broadly, in principle, it follows the earlier Finance Commission in terms of equity, need, and special states in broad. But weightage and other things are up to them. Now, if you come to the principle, all of us agree that now we cannot have a country with development disparities across states. Okay, having said that, we should also look into, are the development disparities caused by lack of resources, or are there other factors? Like what about governance? Suppose Bihar is given, or I don't want to name a specific state, a particular state. They are given double the resources from the Finance Commission. Will their per capita income increase proportionately? So, are there certain prerequisites for development other than or along with the finance? That is one question I would like to put it. Second thing is like a leaking leaking bucket. Before pouring more water into the bucket, should we try to address the leak? Or since less water is in the bucket, you go on adding more water? So this also I think is important to look into that. And I told you about the quality of governance and capacity to govern. It's not only quality, there should be a capacity to govern. And that capacity comes from not only at the bureaucracy level, also at the political leadership level. Do they have this necessary capacity to govern? And what about the quality of governance? And of course, there are geographical and environmental challenges which we have to give special consideration. Human resources. Now, are they really sort of qualified to do their work? Dependency syndrome. Okay, now they know that Finance Commission is going to give us more resources based on our backwardness or less progressiveness. So we are going to get more money. Is it not we are creating sort of a dependency syndrome? And incentivize performance. Should we promote performance with incentives? States are not generally very happy to put conditions because they say that getting resources from government of India is our constitutional right and we want it unconditional. So there are limitations to incentivize performance. And disaster preparedness and vulnerability. There is also funding for that. But the point is, why don't we try to prevent disasters as much as possible? Why do you have to spend a lot of resources when the disaster occurs? Is it possible to at least address some of the disasters? And also, when the disaster comes, the resources do not come immediately. The livelihoods of the people are affected. They become vulnerable. They get some support, maybe after 6 months or 1 year. By the time their financial base has gone. So you are putting resources which are not very effective. And transferring resources vis-a-vis promoting a level playing ground for development. Now, do all the states have a level playing ground for development? If it is not there, could something be done, both in terms of physical infrastructure, in terms of governance, etc. Provide them a level playing ground. Now, if two teams of footballers are playing, it's a lopsided. Whatever you support you give to one side, might be difficult for them to have a proper game. And of course, these are some of the things I would like to raise. I would say that Kerala has lost significantly share, partly because, say, starting from 10th Finance Commission, the weightage of population varies from 20 to 15%. Starting from the 10th Finance Commission, it varies from 20 to 15%. And if you take into the demographic things, it will be 20 to 27.5%. And income distance, that is inequality, varies from 60 to 45% during this 5 Finance Commission. That means almost 80% are covered by 2 factors. This is population related and income related. So the balance 20% is what you can sort of play off. So how we are going to address this? Regarding the horizontal distribution, I would say that the equity has taken, as I told you, 65 to 40% of the resources have been distributed by equity consideration, and 25 to 42 by need-based, that's population. This I am telling for the past 5 commissions. And the revenue collection of the union government from cess, which Professor Karias was very rightly mentioned, it was close to 5.2% in 2011-12. 5.2% was the cess collected by Government of India in 2011-12, which went up to 20% in 2021. And this is not part of the divisible pool. This is outside. This does not come to the state. So center has its own way of raising resources outside the divisible pool, which is something maybe perhaps a productive discussions need to address these issues. What kind of restrictions Government of India can have? Otherwise, suppose they put a 50% cess one time, what is going to happen in the states? And the divisible pool of taxes in terms of percentage, that's percentage of gross tax revenue, divisible pool has come down from 87% to almost 75%. Divisible pool of tax as percentage of gross revenue has come down from 87% to almost 70% over this 10-year period. And of course, grants from Government of India has been increasing. Its composition is also there, like in terms of centrally sponsored scheme. But then that is sort of a conditional one. It's totally, the states are under the mercy of the center for the centrally sponsored scheme. They don't have much leverage. If you want, you take it, otherwise you don't take it. Now, Nair has mentioned some very important factors like is population challenge. It need not be a challenge for us in front of the Finance Commission. It's an opportunity. For example, Kerala has 10.6% of senior population, seniors, compared to only about 6% or 7% of Government of India. And again, Kerala in 21, it has, the earlier figure refers to 2001. Now, in 21, it's a projection from UNFPA. In 21, Kerala has 16% of the aged population compared to 10%, that's almost 60% more compared to India as a whole. Now, what are the implications? The implication is that post-COVID, we have a large segment of senior population. Most of their children, at least many of them, are abroad working and sending money to Government of India. Government of India remittances at this stage are going young. So that means these people are looking upon the government or a public services for support, and that is growing young. And who is going to pay for that? So this is one point I think we should be stressing to the Finance Commission, and I have actually graph for the age structure. Then we have to also look into another thing, which again Dr. Nair has mentioned. 53,137 crore as revenue deficit Kerala received. But what are our arrears? Kerala has 22,000 crores arrears to collect. 22,000. Of which 15,000 is unconditional, no dispute. Why this? A few arrears are being stayed by the court. Few arrears are being, like the government itself gave the stay. But 15,000 is unstayed. It's free. Why the government is not collecting that? And take the case of deficit for the state, whether you take a revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, or primary deficit, we are almost a double of the state averages. That means our financial management, or I would say, I won't say mismanagement, but not optimal. And coming to the final point, which Dr. Hilal mentioned, I have a slightly different opinion on that. That is, you cannot live beyond your means. This is, for me, this is a very simple principle. Don't live beyond your means. If you want to borrow and you want to invest for productive purposes, that's very good thing. It is like a person going to the bank, get loan and start a tea shop and get money and make a repayment. It's quite good. Suppose same person gets the loan and take his family for a tour. I don't think that he should be able to repay that. So governments, both center as well as state, should have a limit on the borrowing. And that should be equally applicable to the center and the state. And to the extent I know, what the state says is that, well, the center is very unfair in limiting our borrowing because some of the things which you have borrowed is not really borrowed. But like you take the case of KIBI. KIBI is borrowing and Government of Kerala is actually underwriting it. They are guaranteeing it. Government of Kerala is guaranteeing it. If I guarantee a loan to the bank, then it is my debt. If that person defaults, I am supposed to pay. And this is not only view of the central government, this is the principle of even the IMF, International Monetary Fund, because this problem is being faced by many governments. It is faced. So the borrowing, you have to be extremely careful. We cannot go on borrowing and meet your salary, pension, or other expenditure. And final point, we talk about decentralization. It's very good. We need resources. Again, decentralization has three things, three pillars: functions, functionaries, and finance. Have you transferred all the functions? Have you transferred all the people? Are they under the local governments working, or are there still departments controlling them? So for a successful decentralization, it is important. It's true for all the states, not only here. So when we talk about the resources, we should also look into the conditions that should go along with that to make it more productive. Thank you.